Hello, everybody, and welcome to Table Talk. My name is Joni Rampola, one of the registered licensed dietitians with Giant and Martin's. And in the month of April, we are talking all about sustainability. So I invited our wonderful guests since eating more plant-based foods is a more sustainable way of eating. Our guest, Esther, is from Impossible Foods. Esther, you want to take a minute to introduce yourself?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for inviting me. It seems like a great crew here. So my name is Esther Park. I'm a registered dietitian, and in my previous life, I worked in a more traditional clinical role, but about 5 years ago, switched over to working at the food industry. So I currently work as the senior manager of the nutrition and health team at Impossible Foods, which I will talk about in a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Tell us more. We want to hear like what you do with a food company. It's
Sure, sure.
unique.
So, like I said, I lead the nutrition and health team at the company. So my team works within the R&D department, but we have roles and responsibilities sort of in
And
both.
I'm just going to stop you for a second.
Sure.
R&D, everybody may not know what that stands for.
Sure. Yeah, research and development. So
Thank you.
this is the group that makes the products that we put out there. There's a lot of technology involved in creating a novel food product, and so it's really exciting work. And we have roles and responsibilities within that formulation work, as well as on sort of the business side of the company as well. So that keeps it interesting. But with R&D, we work with the formulation teams as they're creating new products. So that includes reviewing all ingredients for safety and nutritional implications, setting all the nutrition targets for the products, guiding the team as they're prototyping. And then, at the end, we create the nutrition facts panels that you see on food packages. And on the business side, we work really closely with our communications and marketing teams to ensure that any sort of external messaging that we put out having to do with nutrition is accurate, data-based, backed up by science. So we've worked with these teams on messaging that's seen on our website. We have a really nice nutrition hub that launched last year, social media, and any sort of direct responses to consumers.
I love that. Yeah, you're involved in so many different areas, it sounds like, too, which is awesome.
Yeah, keeps it interesting.
Yeah, so when I think about Impossible Foods, want to see who is it created for? Like, who's your main audience? I think of like as a vegetarians. Help us
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We love our vegetarian and vegan fans, but our products are intentionally designed for meat eaters. So our true target audience is the meat eater who wants plant-based options that taste just as good as animal meat while still delivering certain benefits in nutrition or sustainability or maybe both.
So interesting.
Yeah.
So tell us more about the variety that you offer. Can you share your product lineup?
Absolutely. Yeah. So our flagship product is our core ground beef. A lot of people know us as the Impossible Burger. We're Impossible Foods and we create the Impossible Burger. But we have our flagship ground beef or burger. We also have a core sausage product that's sort of like a ground sausage patty, as well as chicken products. But starting with the ground beef, we've expanded to offer a heart-healthy, leaner, light beef option, as well as a more premium, extra juicy, indulgent beef option. We also have Italian and taco season versions of our ground beef. And then in terms of other sort of form factors, we have meatballs in two varieties, homestyle and Italian. We've also recently introduced hot dogs and corn dogs, which are a personal favorite of mine. In terms of our plant-based sausages, we have ground sausage patties, which are great for breakfast, and then case sausages, so more like links, come in three varieties: bratwurst, Italian, and spicy. And then our chicken nuggets were the first foray into breaded plant-based chicken, and they were an instant fan favorite. So we've since built on that success, and we have a spicy variety as well as chicken patties and tenders. So quite a
Wow.
quite a big list.
Yeah, I didn't realize how vast that list was. That's awesome.
Totally.
A customer is curious about you personally. What made you decide to go into this type of work?
Yeah, that's a great question. I sort of fell into it. Like I mentioned, my background is more in clinical nutrition, so I worked directly with patients, and I found a lot of value in that work. But I think working with patients who had already developed a lot of diet-related diseases, I felt like I wanted to explore ways that I could have impact kind of higher upstream, preventing those diet-related diseases from occurring in the first place. And so I actually went back to public health school first, which is what brought me out to California. I'm originally from the East Coast. And after my public health program was kind of casting a wide net in terms of jobs and yeah, kind of fell upon the food industry as an option for impacting change in nutrition and public health. So yeah, just kind of looked around at different companies in the area and ended up here.
And then there's a lot of chatter about corn dogs, nothing you need to answer, but people either love them, some haven't tried them.
Yeah,
That
if you can
sparked a
find
lot
them.
of conversation.
Yeah, no, they're great. I think if you can find them, definitely give them a try. I think they, are very nostalgic, very yeah, just a nostalgic treat.
Yeah. So have there been any recent innovations that you're allowed to share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't share anything that's in the works, but we did have an exciting new launch. I forgot to mention in our product lineup, we recently launched a new steak bites product, which was really exciting. This was a big milestone for us, being our first sort of whole cut meat product. And we're able to achieve the juicy, savory experience, the, kind of like tender, fine-grained texture that meat lovers expect from steak by leveraging a breadth of innovative methods and ingredients. It's not only delicious, it's also a really good source of protein. I think it qualifies as an excellent source of protein per the FDA and contains only 1 gram of saturated fat, which is crazy for steak.
John actually tried them and said they're amazing.
Yay! I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So on Monday, I did a meal solutions class
Oh,
using the
cool.
light ground beef from plants, which
Awesome.
was a lot of fun. And we noticed that the meat starts out red and actually turns brown.
Absolutely.
And we wanted to ask you about that.
Sure.
Any ingredient that's unique to your product? Like, why would plants turn brown?
Yeah, no, that's been something that we're really proud of. Most of our ingredients are really common, familiar ingredients. We use coconut oil, sunflower oil, but I think our most unique and novel ingredient is what's called soy-like hemoglobin. We sort of just shorten it and call it heme here. But heme is an iron-containing molecule that occurs in every living thing, including us humans. It's in animals, it's in plants. You might be familiar with heme from the heme iron found in myoglobin, which is what makes meat red when raw and turn brown when cooked. So our version of heme is identical to what's found in the root nodules of soy plants. So it's a plant version of heme. And it's really what gives our raw meat products that striking meat-like appearance, as well as some of the flavor notes, the iron, the bioavailable iron that's in the product, and as well as the red appearance.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, and it does make your product unique. Like we had comments
Totally.
about it while I was cooking that, oh my gosh, it's turning brown.
Yeah, it's really quite fascinating.
Yeah. So are your products fortified? And then if you can just expand on that to explain what the word fortified actually means.
Sure, yeah. So fortification is the process by which nutrients are added to food rather than having the nutrient be naturally present in food. In the past, it's been sort of like a public health, it's been used as a public health measure. If you think of things like folate or folic acid deficiencies leading to certain birth defects and such, the government actually mandated that folate be fortified in certain cereal products. So that's an example of fortification in history. So for us, we fortify our products with certain micronutrients, specifically in order to make our products more nutritionally similar to the animal meats we're trying to replace. So for example, animal meat is generally a really good source of B vitamins for a lot of people, particularly vitamin B12, which is not found in a lot of plant foods, as well as certain essential minerals like zinc. So we add the supplemental forms of these micronutrients to our products specifically for that reason, to make sure folks aren't missing out on them.
And then I see the question chat, where are the products found in our Giant or Martin stores? And I'll take that one.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Because each store may be slightly different, but they're typically in the meat department. And if you don't see them, some stores keep them frozen, which I think most stores do, but sometimes they're not. They're in the fresh area. But if you don't see them, ask somebody working in the meat department and they will definitely find them for you. But yes, a lot of comments about the steak bites too. People are either
Oh,
excited to try them or think they're good.
awesome.
So yes, they like learning about that. I haven't tried them yet, but I'm very excited to try them
Yeah, they
as
work great in recipes. I've used them in stir fries and certain Korean dishes that I make at home. So very versatile.
yep. So I feel like one objection that people may have is they kind of stay away from processed foods, not
Mhm.
even understanding maybe what that means. Um, but do you consider your product to be a processed food? And how do you define what is a processed food?
Yeah, this is a really hot topic in nutrition right now. Yeah, it's a hot topic. There's a lot of misinformation out there about what process really means. So, yeah, let's take a step back and look at that definition. Um, there's no federal standard definition right now. There's one definition that many researchers use, but at its very core, quite simply, processing just refers to any change from a food's raw natural state. That could be heating, pasteurizing, cutting. So the vast majority of foods items that you find in a grocery store have been processed to some degree. You think of, cheese, bread, breakfast cereal, those are all technically processed foods. Um, Processed foods are often mistakenly conflated with junk foods, when the reality is really much more nuanced. And so this is kind of where um, the conflation comes in. So whether or not a product is processed doesn't actually indicate if it's healthy or not. It could if it's high in, saturated fat, sodium, added sugars, things we know are not good in excess. But the best way to really evaluate healthfulness is by looking at the nutritional profile of a food. And so when we look at how our products stack up, the processes that we use to make our products are actually what makes our products so nutrient dense. We use, high quality protein, there's fiber, there's essential nutrients like iron, calcium, potassium. Our products outperform the animal with 0 milligrams of cholesterol, 0 grams of trans fat. Most contain less total and saturated fat as well. And, lastly, because they're made from plants, we don't have any of the sort of animal hormones or antibiotics that are sometimes associated with animal meat as well. And so yeah, while we do consider our foods processed, we don't think that's a bad thing.
And then Susie's asking a question, which I think she asks in every class. Love you, Susie. Do you know the sodium levels? Can you give us an idea of what sodium is in this product?
Yeah, yeah. It depends on the product. Our core beef product, I believe, has about 360 or 330 milligrams per serving, which is of course higher than the comparator, the ground beef. We're constantly trying to get that number down. We have reduced it from our first iterations. We have made sure to stay below the 20% daily value threshold that the FDA uses to consider a food high sodium. And so yeah, that's something that we're constantly working on. We don't consider our flagship ground beef product a high sodium food, and we certainly think it can fit into a diet that is sodium conscious, as long as you're balancing out the rest of your meals. But yeah, it really depends on the product because some of our products, because of seasonings or other factors like that, they could be a little higher. And it also depends on what we're comparing against, right? Like a cased or a hot dog, for example, is going to naturally be higher in sodium. And so yeah, there's that aspect as well.
Yep. And then people are talking about processed foods in the chat, saying maybe processed versus ultra processed, or can you say prepared instead of processed?
Yeah, I know it's tough. There's no kind of standard definition out there. So yeah, I think it really is about, you know, um, being very clear about what is that distinction between, processing and, health implications.
I know you mentioned your foods are high in protein. Can you talk about the quality of the protein, also the quantity of protein in your product?
Yeah, absolutely. Protein's a big one for us. We're very intentional about making sure that our products are as good, if not better, than the animal products that we aim to replace in terms of protein. Um, yeah, it's true of all nutrients, but especially true for protein because we know that animal meat is a major source of protein for a lot of consumers, and we don't want people to feel like they're sacrificing nutrition while eating our products. So to that end, all of our products have comparable quantity of protein to their animal counterparts, but we're also very intentional about protein quality for those who like to get into the weeds about protein. So protein quality, just very simply, is kind of a metric of the amino acid composition of the protein, as well as how digestible it is. So how usable is it to your body? So soy protein, which is the main source of protein in most of our products, is what we call a complete source of protein, meaning that it has all of those essential amino acids in the right proportions needed for our bodies and, is a digestible source as well. And so as a result of this, all of our products also have really comparable protein quality to the animal meat counterparts.
And somebody is asking, can you address if the soy is non-GMO versus genetically modified?
Yeah, that's a good question. We use sort of both. All of our soy is grown in the US, and we made the switch to genetically modified soy many, many years ago, and we felt that that was what was needed in order to kind of do our part in building a sustainable food system for ourselves. Nutritionally speaking, there really is no difference between the genetically modified and the non-genetically modified versions. And so yeah, certain countries where we're only allowed to sell non-GMO created products, we will use the non-genetically modified versions, but in the US, it's a little bit of both.
And a customer is asking if any of the Major League Baseball parks have picked up your products to sell.
Oh, yes. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. I know I'm in San Francisco right now. I know our ballpark has um, many of our products. I think hot dogs were a big one once we launched that product. But yeah, if anyone hears of any, let me know.
So once we purchase a product from our Giant or Martin store, how long do they typically last or keep in our refrigerator?
That's a good one. So it'll depend on the product. If you keep them frozen, the products are designed to last up to 12 to 15 months in a freezer, so pretty long. The refrigerated products, I would recommend checking the package for the recommended use by dates, because this can really vary from product to product. But yeah, we have a really awesome food safety shelf life team that does experiments all the time to make sure that the food will stay safe.
Yep. So this month I said our topic is sustainability, which is
Mm.
we invited you here to talk about it. Sustainability, I know, is part of your company's mission. So can you talk about sustainability and what it actually means to Impossible Foods?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll preface by saying I am definitely not a sustainability expert. I've just picked up a few things working at a company that has sustainability at the core of its mission. So yeah, my background is in food, obviously. So food and nutrition. So food, has a really unique potential to meaningfully impact the planet in a really positive way. Not only can it reduce harm by curbing future emissions, it can also increase environmental benefits by, freeing up land for reforestation. And this is all without even requiring any changes to global transportation or energy habits. Depending on what study you look at or what metric you use, people will argue about, what has the biggest impact on the climate change and sustainability. And I can't speak to that, but I can say that, the way that we grow animals for food is unsustainable and is destructive to the planet. I am a meat eater myself. I'm not against eating meat. But I think that there are certain things within the system that can change to have beneficial impacts to the planet. And so, our mission at Impossible Foods is really to have that positive impact on both people and the planet, by making the delicious, nutritious plant-based diet or plant-based meat that meat eaters crave with less of the environmental footprint compared to meat from animals. So all of our products go through what's called a life cycle analysis, which is an analysis that's done by experts to determine, the resource use, land use, water use, et cetera, from the raw materials all the way up to, launch and production. And yeah, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but all of our products are responsible for less water, land, and greenhouse gas emissions than the meat from animals, all while still delivering that great taste and a strong nutritional profile.
And a lot of customers are saying that they appreciate the light ground beef for the lower sodium content, and we're hoping that more products like that come out in the pipeline.
Oh, me too. You're preaching to the choir here.
And then another comment, if someone can make bacon that looks and tastes like it without the frying and grease that results, I'll bet sales will go through the roof.
Yes. Yeah, there are a lot of processed animal meat products that are kind of low-hanging fruit for us. We can make them healthier, right? So yeah, we're working on a lot of things right now. So keep your eye out for new products.
If a customer's never tried a plant-based meat previously, is there like a product you suggest they start with?
Yeah, our flagship product, the burger, is a great one to start with. Anecdotally, I've seen so many skeptical consumers just be really amazed by how similar it is to a cow-based burger, especially when it's dressed in a burger build with your favorite buns and condiments and toppings. Um, I also think that our chicken nugget products are an easy one to start with because they're just one, so tasty. They're easy to prepare. They're really similar to the animal chicken nuggets. Um, yeah, we actually did a blind taste test of our chicken nuggets versus an animal-based nugget, and we beat the animal 3-1. So the data speaks
Wow.
on this. Yeah, they're a really beloved product.
And I see customers have said they've tried the chicken nuggets and they are a favorite of theirs too. This
Awesome.
class is making me want to go out and try them. I haven't
Yeah,
tried
you
the chicken nuggets or
should.
the steak bites, but they
Totally.
both sound delicious. Yes. Lots of great information. Going to watch this again also. Oh, awesome.
Oh,
Thank
great.
you. So I see the customers liking the chicken nuggets and the steak. How about you, Esther? Do you have a favorite product? And if you do, like how do you cook it? Or is there a recipe that you is your go-to?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I like so many products. I think I would have to say the chicken nuggets are probably my favorite. We do have some fun shaped ones if you have kids, or if you're just a kid at heart, we have wild nuggies, which are shaped like endangered species, as well as we launched Lion King nuggets last year in anticipation of the Mufasa movie that came out at the end of the year. But yeah, my favorite products is the chicken nuggets. I usually just simply air fry them. You can air fry them, you can oven bake them. If you're in a pinch, you can microwave them, but they won't be as crispy if you microwave them. And I just make a really simple sriracha mayo that I dip them in. This is just equal parts sriracha hot sauce, and I use QP mayo. You can use whatever mayo. Um, I have been planning on trying a chicken Caesar wrap of some sort using the nuggets. There's a really great recipe for Impossible Chicken Caesar salad on our website, as well as a chicken patty katsu sandwich that looks really good. We have a great in-house chef who develops all of the recipes that you can find right on our website, impossiblefoods.com. So yeah, lots of good ideas there.
Yeah, so that would be a nice place to visit, impossiblefoods.com. And then there's a recipe tab, I assume.
Yes. Yep. It's pretty easy to navigate. So
Yes.
yeah.
Getting a lot of comments in chat that it sounds really good and they like your sharing that.
Oh, good.
So
Glad.
thank you.
Of course.
Yes. Well, that is all the questions I had for you. Let's see if
Great.
customers have any others before we end.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Esther, for spending this time with us. We greatly appreciate your knowledge, and lots of people are saying, like, oh, I'm going to go try them from this class. So that's
Great.
awesome. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no, this is a great group.
Yes, we appreciate everybody so much. Thank you, and I'll have a great rest of your day.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye.